Hi, Spots and Cheap Pops. You're on the air.
Hi, Spots and Cheap Pops, ladies and gentlemen. Vacation is over. Over. VLADI, Silicon Steve Valley. We are back. Very best in professional wrestling talk on the internet today. VLADI, it's been weeks, brother. How the hell are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be back here. A lot has happened since we last spoke, so it's going to be interesting to touch base on some of these topics that we have going on here today.
Oh, a lot of amazing things happened. Obviously, when we were gone, we're getting into the last two pay-per-views, Double or Nothing, and of course, King and Queen of the Ring. Since then, Gunther obviously won. He's going to be facing either Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest at SummerSlam, depending on who wins that Clash in the Castle. MJF, the big return, was a little bit of a shocker. I don't think we expected him to come back that quickly, even though I think we both expected him to be in AEW. I know I did. I think he signed a contract 2 years ago, like I told you. So I never thought it was a pipe dream, him going to WWE. And a lot of things are working out where now you also see Will Ospreay now getting a title shot at Forbidden Door, a world title shot right after he wins the international title. And that might be our top story today here, Vladi. Yeah. Will Ospreay. The momentum is there. The star power is there. The hype is there. But is this too much too fast? Just a couple of weeks ago when you and I were talking, I was saying All In would be entirely too early for Will Ospreay. And he may be the world champion by the end of this month. What in the blue hell? Is Tony doing it too fast? Is he blowing his proverbial load with Will Ospreay already? Lottie Dottie, your thoughts on Will Ospreay getting this monster, almost rushed push?
It's became more rushed because we thought it'd be rushed for Wembley even. But now, here we are, and they're looking to have Swerve versus Ospreay at Forbidden Door now. And what's weird is Tony doesn't understand the concept of baby faces, or does he give a shit, I guess. And he has his two best baby faces facing off against each other.
Cannibalizing each other, yeah.
Exactly. And I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like, what's the purpose of this, really? And I have never seen anything like this, honestly. And don't get me wrong. Like, I was the one who was saying Ospreay should win at Wembley. Just at that point, Swerve had it that long. It's just really surprising that they've gone this route in this direction that quickly. And I don't know. Somebody's definitely getting knocked down a major peg after this Forbidden Door match. So
I think Ospreay's probably going to lose though, and I think Don Callis turns on him. Perhaps Swerve turns heel now because everyone in the Don Callis family has either bitched and cried their way out of contention, like Takeshita, or they got hurt, like Will Hobbs, and Kyle Fletcher. I think is hurt as well. I mean, the Don Callis family, the hope of the Don Callis family, it is a distant hope. The only
crap.
The only factor in the entire Don Callis family now is the biggest baby face in the company, in Will Ospreay. It's ridiculous.
Right. And I think you're right, because what it'll come down to is Ospreay not wanting to do the Tiger Driver, and that'll probably cost him the match. And Callis will be furious that he didn't go the extra mile to go and win it like that. And he could turn on him with, I don't know, what's his name? Trent Beretta. And who else is
I forgot about that. There's a major player there.
The Callis family has really done a complete 180. I mean, they were my favorite faction last year. And now look at them. They're just remnants of burning ashes.
Dark Order.
They're below the Dark Order now. But I'm just amazed. But and again, like, they never explain why is Will Ospreay still part of the Callis family. There doesn't seem to be any sort of allegiance there. Like, what keeps him there? And why are they not really addressing this? And it's just half-assed storytelling. And then we'll get to it when we get to it. So.
I hate it because we know what you have with Will Ospreay. You have something organic that is built. Me personally, and by the way, he probably will not win it for Forbidden Door. I really have my doubts. I don't think they would have Swerve only have a 2-month reign. He's the first black champion in the company. I don't think they give him a Kofi Kingston finish. You know what I mean? I know Kofi had 6 months, but the way he lost it was very unceremonious. Right. And if Swerve loses in 2 months, that would be unceremonious too. So I don't think that they do that. Also, you can see Swerve turning heel. Other thing is, are we seeing too much Will Ospreay and Swerve wrestling? These guys are wrestling every single solitary week.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
Why am I going to pay for a pay-per-view if you're giving me your 2 best guys all the time on Wednesday nights? It seems very similar to when stupid Eric Bischoff put Goldberg versus Hogan. And Bischoff would always put big names and big moments on Monday nights instead of waiting for the pay-per-view, something that Bischoff was heavily criticized for during that time period. So it's kind of the same thing that Tony's making a lot of the same mistakes Eric Bischoff did, which is ironic that Eric Bischoff thinks he's so much smarter than him. But I've been really positive about AEW all year, as you know, maybe to a fault. It's hard to defend what they're doing with Will Ospreay right now, unless you have him lose and you have him become a sympathetic figure, but he's still the international champion.
All right.
And you had him win the same exact kind of match in like twice in 3 weeks. And by the way, I like the premise of that match. It's that gauntlet match, that casino. I like the premise of it. It's like a Royal Rumble, but the first pin wins. I like that. It's a great idea. Yeah. But you didn't need Will Ospreay to win both of them. I mean, you can't come up with a different way to get Will Ospreay. Even if you were okay, so you're going to put Will Ospreay in the main event at Forbidden Door, which, by the way, isn't this supposed to be a New Japan guy versus AEW? I digress. I don't want to get into it. And I don't want to complain either, because we used to always complain that the New Japan guy never had a chance at beating the AEW guy anyway in that instance. So I'm not going to complain. I'd be hypocritical. But here's a situation where if you blow it with Will Ospreay, this might be your big shot, because you need someone to get really hot. You need a Goldberg, you need an NWO, you need an Austin, you need somebody to get real hot on your brand. And Will Ospreay was the guy, and you are driving him into the freaking abyss right now, unless this becomes a much bigger story, which culminates with Will Ospreay winning it at Wembley, or perhaps winning it next year at Wembley. Also, MJF returns. Is MJF and Will Ospreay your main event at All In? And does MJF somehow win a world title? I'm not sure where they're going here. And by the way, let me ask you, VLADI, the MJF return, is he done with Adam Cole now?
Absolutely.
That's the end of that feud?
And I'm fine with it.
That's probably why they did that, actually. It's a good point.
I'm fine with it. And you know what? It also told me that Adam Cole is more injured than they let on. He's probably not going to be able to come back, and they can't really do anything physical. So blow it off. Fuck it. Who cares at this point?
What a disaster that was. All they had to do was put CM Punk and MJF at the main event last year at All In. And things would be... The company would be in such different places right now if CM Punk and MJF fought for the main event at All In. Because I have a feeling Punk might not have left the company if that was the case. I really do. Because he would have something to work with.
Yeah.
He would have been the headliner, because he's got a big ego, and they would have had a great match, which, by the way, Punk would have put MJF over, so Punk didn't walk out of your company as the, quote, real world champion. I mean, so many reasons why that was a bad idea to put Adam Cole there. I think it was Adam Cole's best buddies, the Young Bucks, saying this is what we want to do. This is the storyline we've been put in place for a long time. We don't like CM Punk. We're not giving him the main event at the biggest pay-per-view, despite the fact it might be the best business decision. And again, it's terrible. And I hate to bitch about, again, I've been trying to be positive about AEW, but it's really, really hard when I see what they're doing with Will Ospreay. And they're running their world champion out there every single solitary week.
Yeah.
It's a joke. And
I don't understand what's so far-fetched about Swerve just coming out there and cutting a promo every other week. Or sit in on being one of the ring announcers for the guy that he's competing against next, and just let him talk to the home audience as well. Like, why do they just have to run him out there and wrestle each and every week? And I got to see everything, pretty much.
And he's a great wrestler. But if you're gonna see him wrestle 5 or 6 times in 4 or 5 weeks, do I really want to pay $50 to see him wrestle again?
Not really.
I mean, again, it's not like their pay-per-views are cheap, folks. It's $50. So you got to put a premium on your very best wrestlers. And again, I was worried initially when he won. First, I don't like how he won the same exact kind of match twice in like 4 or 5 weeks. I hated that. I'm talking about Will Ospreay. Yeah. But furthermore, again, it just doesn't seem like they know what they're doing and they don't have a plan. And it looked like they were starting to build some momentum, and now things look like they're all jumbly wumbly again. You know what I mean? I got to be honest with you, though. I like what Jericho's doing. He's actually been pretty entertaining. I said it. It's better.
Just, yeah. I mean, it's better than I don't know. Well, I mean, it's not really raising the bar all that much, but I guess you could say that. But I'm still just. It's so like just comedy, just everything that you hate about me, I'm going to amplify. And that's the whole approach. I've been impressed with Big Bill, though.
I love Big Bill. Dumb name.
Yeah, awful name. But he's the Redwood. And then you got the Bad Apple.
I don't like that guy.
I was like, okay. No,
I don't think he's really a bounty hunter, by the way.
It's debatable.
It's not like Bret Hart came out there acting like he was a real hitman for the mob. Like, why is this guy coming out here dressed like a freaking bounty hunter? When he getting Billy the Kid? Gonna get a little Jesse James action. Gonna get him? Boom, 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 boom.
And that's the thing. That guy's gimmick should just be like attacking whoever pays him the most over and over, and not just going and aligning himself with the learning tree of all things.
I mean, I don't mind he's in that faction. I don't, but I just don't like his gimmick. I mean, he literally dresses like he's a bounty hunter from the 1800s.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you going to be wrestling friggin' MVP and Duke the Dumpster Josie? Maybe
when he does contract signings, they should do it like on a wanted poster.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to get my 10 beans. I'm going to get my $5,000 for your carcass. Get 200 doggies for his trigger finger.
How's his gimmick not dead or alive?
Then again, they have a big, gigantic dinosaur walking around, too, which is kind of ridiculous.
What? Let me ask you a quick question about that. Yeah. When they changed his name to Kill Switch, why did he give him like a different mask?
Oh, I don't know. That's probably question number 97 and why AEW does what they do.
Like Christian couldn't have been like, hey, you know what? Let's just switch that thing out too. Wear something different.
I like how Swerve still got his receipt from Kill Switch even after the fact he fought Christian Cage. I like how he kind of was like, okay, you took something out of me, I'm going to go after you. So Swerve is not being your typical stupid babyface as a babyface champion. He's been kind of still has a little bit of some heel tendencies there for sure. So that's why I couldn't see it being. Is it possible Don Callis recruits Swerve and possibly even Nana?
I mean, that would absolutely really upgrade the Callis family by like 20-fold at this point.
Put Hobbs and Swerve together? Wow. What?
I mean, I believe Hobbs is going to still be out for quite a bit, but again, true. It's like, but here's the foundation. We got Swerve and Trent Beretta.
We don't have to talk about Trent too much. I like Trent Beretta though. He was definitely a lot better than Chucky T.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing him dress a little differently, be more serious. I could see him being a decent heel, but again, he's going to be, like on the mid card part of that about that faction there for Don Callis.
I don't even know who's definitely in the Callis family right now because there's so many injuries, and I mean, you got Takeshita, Hobbs who's out, Kyle Fletcher who I believe is injured, Will Ospreay, and now Trent Beretta. It's not a
unless they go the whole Swerve Takeshita, who's like sort of the enforcer, and Beretta with him, which isn't terrible by any means in terms of in-ring action and stuff. Maybe that's a decent foundation. Maybe that's what they do.
And then you have Hobbs come back, and then you got your big man. Obviously, Hobbs is going to be out for quite a while, probably another 8 months or so, maybe 9 more months.
Yeah.
So you're going to be into 2025. Like, well, we're going to know who the president is by then. By then, God help us, whichever one that may be. Don't want to get political,
but getting back to Ospreay, it is huge that MJF is back, because that is actually something that can draw attention to that product, that feud.
Yeah, MJF and Will Ospreay writes itself, and MJF needs to turn heel again. Hate.
You got a hate chant. That was great.
It's going to be hard for him to turn heel, though, because even when he's a complete piece of shit, and he called them a bunch of stupid marks, and he still cheered. No offense.
Yeah, they cheered. And he's like amazed by this. You could tell. Like, he said at one point, he said something else to the camera. I was like, "You kidding me?" Like he got a chant out of something that he didn't even expect.
Oh, he said over his shit is what he said.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, you can tell MJF listens to the internet chatter. Because he references it a lot in his promos, and he's a heel, and he referenced it. I think that was because a lot of people were questioning how over he was toward his last run as a world champion. Now, obviously, he wasn't booked well. That miserable storyline, which, again, the storyline wasn't, I don't think the storyline was terrible. It was just way too much for what it was. And it was long, it was convoluted, and there was no surprises. And again, they botched it by having Adam Cole and MJF headline that festival, that pay-per-view that should have never have happened. Adam Cole had no business main eventing a major pay-per-view. Guy can't stay on the field. And he wasn't like, this is just a recent thing. He's been injured a vast majority of his time in AEW. And I dare say the guy has had main event after main event after main event. Don't forget, he feuded with Hangman Adam Page and had several world title matches there and a couple pay-per-view main events already. So Adam Cole was very much overrated by Tony Khan. Clearly, he put his horses in a much different basket than he should have. And MJF, it wasn't MJF's fault, but yeah, his run was not impressive the last couple months. His run itself, his body of work, and the matches that he put on and the work that he actually put into was great. I don't think MJF did anything wrong, but the booking was terrible. And now you have him back. You got to be careful what you do with him, and you got to be careful what you do with Will Ospreay, because these are arguably your two biggest stars, at least till Kenny comes back. And even then, I think they're probably the two biggest stars you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's Bryan Danielson, maybe. I don't know. What's he doing? He just got beat by freaking Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not even involved in this conversation anymore. It's just he'll lose to anybody, and that's that at this
There
point.
is a rumor he might extend his contract, and that might not be the end. I don't know if that's true, though. Why would you come out and say it last year and then not?
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know how the internet is with rumors. Speaking of, by the way, did you catch the flamethrower?
Oh, yeah. That was the one way he was able to get any heat.
Oh!
Thanks.
That was a good one, VLADI.
There you go.
I didn't see it. I was on vacation. I was in the middle of a field on several different chemicals, so I wasn't able to watch this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I did see highlights. The thing with Darby kicking him in the face when he was hung upside down. It looked like a brutal match. I'm sure Meltzer gave it 17 stars because he always does that for the Anarchy. The flamethrower really chapped a lot of people, though. Wow, what did you think about the flamethrower? Did you think it was? It's a spectacle. What do you want to do? I mean, I think people flipped out about it. What happened? Was the difference in that, or like John Cena getting blown up from like when him and Orton did the big blow up spot, or I mean, we've seen explosions before. Don't forget that devastating explosion after the Moxley and Omega barbed wire death match. That was scary.
It made Eddie Kingston a legend.
Remember his excuse for that? He was like, I had a panic attack. Okay. That what it was? Or you didn't know it exploded and you...
But, what were we saying? So we were
it
talking
looked like
about,
Orange Cassidy's pyro that he comes out with when they did that.
Yeah, in regards to the flamethrower, it's like I think about it the same way you do, where it's like, okay, it's a spectacle, I get it, but then I'm also thinking like, all right, where do you draw the line next? Is it just is it an AR that's being brought out next? And, where do they keep on upping the ante? And Darby happens to be often involved in these moments, which is something. And you know what? Like, there was another thing. Take it for what it is. I believe Martha Hart was there that night too,
with one of her stupid hats.
She's always with those hats.
What is going on with those hats, Martha Hart?
I don't know. It's like every day is the Kentucky Derby with her. So, but again, she's in the building, and then they go and suspend Darby Allin from the roof of that place, hanging upside down. And I'm like, again, it's just they're tone deaf.
I didn't mind that. It just, if you're going to set someone on fire, maybe he shouldn't be the one who gets the pin. Maybe he shouldn't be fined about 2 minutes later and get the pin on one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Or like the one time where they had their exploding shoe super kicked at John Moxley's face and he got up in 90 seconds. Like, those are the kind, if you're going to have these spots, make them mean something. Make them count. And they don't. It's indie bullshit. Sorry, folks. I mean, I love AEW. I'm the biggest proponent on this show for AEW in many respects. But Jesus, come on now. Make it mean something. Make it make sense. And they've been struggling with that. And this is certainly no difference here. And we've seen AEW do this several times. A lot of times. They have this big, amazing spot, and then the guy's in another spot 2 minutes later. Let it mean something. For Christ's sake.
Yeah. That's a very valid point. Very valid.
What do you do with MJF now, Vladi?
Oh, you know what? Like, his whole return there, like him like wearing like the Triple H like denim and leather, that was a bit of an interesting message. He had such a great line about he wasn't made by New Japan or Vince McMahon, and that MJF made MJF. Classic. I mean, and you know what? You look at that locker room. He just called them all out. Really, it was great.
Well, he needs to go back to doing that. That's what that's the MJF we all fell in love with.
Yeah. So,
stupid mask. He called that the devil mask stupid, and
he spit on it and threw it into the crowd. And I'm like, that's why I was really cool with that segment, because I'm like, I realized that we're not going to have to go through some prolonged bullshit feud with him and Adam Cole and his group of jobbers. Like, like, we just avoided all that. Forget what he called them.
Something.
Yeah, he was none too.
It's a hard, mediocre faction at best. Especially now that Adam, the only top star around, is hurt, and seemingly going to be hurt for a while. How do you hurt your leg this long though? It was only a broken foot.
I don't know. They don't address it. They don't mention it. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't want to speculate either, but
I guess Britt Baker's the same injury because she's been out for 2 years as well. But
yeah, and that's another one. Like, what's up with that? Like, I don't get it. But
they're doing okay with the women's division, though. I think their women's division is as good as it's ever been right now. Which, by the way, clearly not saying a lot. But you have more women doing more things, and they're more interesting. I like the Chris Statlander heel turn, even though we kind of thought that was coming. I actually thought Sasha was going to turn. I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné was going to turn heel as well, and she didn't. They just had a straight match, and then Statler came in and turned, which I thought was interesting. I would have rather look. Moné's not popular. She's already getting booed. Half the crowd hates her guts already. So why would you keep going with it? There's nothing worse than when you're trying to get a baby face over and they keep on getting booed.
Yep.
And that's what's happening with Mercedes Moné. And I get you're paying her $4 million a year.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But the fact remains that she's not a great baby face. She's never been in her entire career, except for maybe when she went against Charlotte and they traded the world championship every 3 weeks, which was like Charlotte has like 15 championships already. But that's a whole other point. But what do you do with MJF? Do you thrust him into the world title picture, or which I think they're going to do if you're done with Adam Cole already? That's probably going to be the case, right?
it could be the case. Now, let me ask you this: the Martha Hart or the Owen Hart tournament, right?
Yes.
Did they already give you stipulations on that? Like, who the winner gets what?
World title match.
That's that.
I think it All In too, wasn't it? All In.
I think so. I mean, that if that's the case, then that's probably his way to get into that world title match.
You have to. I mean, if you're gonna put MJF at the top of that card.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have so many moving pieces going into All In. You have Brian Danielson's last day, allegedly. You don't know what you're doing with Will Ospreay. He's got the international championship. And that's the other part. Why give him the international championship if you're going to give him a world title shot? Like he just won the international championship Sunday, and on Wednesday he wins a world title shot at a major pay-per-view.
Yep.
Like it's very.
It doesn't strengthen that title if he has the job.
Convoluted, dude. It's a convoluted. I don't know what Tony's doing here. Again, I think Will loses, and I think it's going to be a struggle to win the world title. I really believe that, and I'll be okay with it. But there's no reason to have him lose to Swerve here. There's no reason. You could have Swerve face anybody, particularly people from New Japan. And so I thought it was very interesting. My boy John Luxa, who's a big fan of ours, I was talking to him, and he's one of the he's more positive about AEW than I am, right? And he's like, what the hell is Tony doing? Referring to Will Ospreay, because he's a giant Will Ospreay fan. He's been a Will Ospreay fan since before he turned heel in New Japan like 4 years ago. So he's just like, what is Tony doing right now? And this is very delicate. You can't blow this. You have MJF and Will Ospreay, and you got a couple of major stars, major talents. You can't blow it. You can't. Yeah. That said, it sounds like they're going to get a TV deal, though.
Yeah, let me just add one thing, though. Like, all things considered and how they've gone, the direction they went here, I probably would not have gone and given them that international title and faced Roderick Strong for whatever reason. Just go and have him compete in the Owen Hart thing himself without consideration MJF. Have him win it, which brings more prestige to that tournament.
Yeah.
And then have him win it in Wembley.
And not only that, you don't have him win the same exact kind of match, the same one in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
It's beyond me. This was really poorly booked. I'm not disappointed on where we're going, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
That was our big gripe with Vince McMahon all those years. WWE could have been so much better. Now we see how good WWE could have been the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's just what we want. We just want AEW to be better, but they does sound like they are getting a TV deal. There's some rumors, there are reports that it's not going to be as big as Tony wants, but it sounds like WB and Discovery, it looks like they're going to be investing in AEW. So that looks good. Obviously, I'm not going to count my chickens until I know and I hear it for a fact, but it does look pretty good that since WB and Turner and all them, they did not get the NBA or the NHL, I believe. And even if they get the NHL, so what? So I think AEW is probably in a better position than they were 6 months ago. However, the buzz isn't there, and the excitement of the brand isn't there. So, it is what it is. So with MJF, so you think MJF should win the Owen Hart Cup? And then he headlines All In against either Swerve or whoever else.
Well, then, yeah, now that we're thinking this out, that sort of cocks everything up because,
You say cocks everything up?
Yeah, it cocks it up. Right.
Never heard that expression. What do you mean, just throw a bunch of dicks at it?
A whole bag of them. So, yeah.
Big bag of donkey dicks.
You have MJF in the mix here, and, what do you do with Ospreay and Swerve then? You would think that would, I hope they don't do a triple threat deal, man. But
it could be a good match, though. I don't mind triple threats too much. I hate anything more than a triple threat, but I usually like one-on-one, especially for a world title. So I'm with you there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. They seemingly painted themselves in a bit of a weird corner with this. And I just don't understand what Tony's doing with it, really. It just, sort of evades me with this, and you look at it. Yeah, they is shoehorning it actually, and the whole thing is even getting in touch with in terms of the TV contract. Like they have the ability to go and showcase Swerve, Ospreay, and MJF, but ideally you'd almost want to do it somewhat separately, where they're like these guys are throughout the show versus just having their own segment, and then you got to fill up the rest of the time, which is not always the easiest thing for Tony, to be really honest. So.
Well, at least everybody comes out with with a title of some sort. I mean, the Bang Bang Gang comes out with 9 championship belts every time they walk on TV. They have the Ring of Honor, the AEW, and now they have a United Triples, which is just those 2 titles. Why have the other 2? Why have the other 2 championships each? I should say 6. Right. Why have them if you have a unified titleette as well? I mean, I'm tired of all the championship belts. And then after the scrum, he was saying he wants more titles.
Yeah.
He wants women tag team titles and a mixed tag team title.
Yeah. Everybody gets a belt. How many titles do you need, Tony? Use your fucking brain, bro. Come on, man. He has an opportunity. He's building some momentum and he's shooting himself in the foot. I can't defend this. And I'm not gonna. I can't. Even though I do love Juice Robinson, I'm glad he's back. Rock hard. No, he's great. He's great. And that's the thing. It's like Bull Club Gold is like one of your better segments usually, especially with Juice being back. And you have a situation where they just come out there with every belt under the sun. And it's like, I don't know, man. I think it turns off people in some ways. Like, there's nothing prestigious about it. It's almost a friggin' joke.
Yeah, it's like The Rock bringing his title around. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like a toy title. People's toys.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the 2. I don't mind you being a six-man tag for both Ring of Honor and AEW. That's fine. They can do the same thing that they were kind of doing with the women's tag titles and what they were actually doing with the undisputed tag titles for a little bit, have them on both brands. I'm okay with that. But there's no reason for all 3 guys carrying around 3 belts. It's stupid. Yeah. It's idiotic. It's beyond stupid. Yeah. They're one champion. They represent 1 championship title. Oh, well, it's 2, really. Okay, it's 2, which equals the 1. You can't have it equal the 1 and plus the 2. That doesn't make sense. It's dumb. Now, and then you have the international. You got the Continental. You got the TNT. You got the world title. I mean, how many championships do you have in this company? It's a joke. Yeah. And he does it because he can't come up with decent storylines. He needs these titles for the reason that they're wrestling. Instead of just coming up with reasons for them to fight that isn't about a title. You don't have to have championships involved in 80% of your feuds, folks.
Yeah, you're onto something there because now 80% of the segments have something, on the line versus a story.
Yeah, and it's the same shit. So that's one of the reasons why it's a stagnant product right now. That really is. By the way, great matches. They consistently, their top tier matches, I think, is the best wrestling in the world. I really believe that. They're top tier. Right. They're mid card and they're bottom, not so much.
Right.
Not so much at all.
Yeah.
But they're top tier guys in AEW really know what they're doing. So I'm hoping Tony knows what he's doing or gets somebody. Will Ospreay just came out and said he wants Scott D'Amore in AEW. I can't even imagine. He comes in, and Scott D'Amore just comes in and beats Tony Consigliere.
Yeah.
And he can learn more from the business. And he's not a wrestler. All these wrestlers, look, they always book themselves for a reason. Look at Chris Jericho. You're telling me his influence isn't the reason why he's been on TV despite being one of the worst parts of the show for 2 years? Even though, like I said before, I do like Jericho. I like the recent stuff. I'm not gonna lie. He's made me laugh a few times.
So, bask in the glory of the learning tree. Then he'll annoy you soon enough.
I'm already over it, actually. But overall, people say it was a really, really good pay-per-view. Toni Storm continues to just be a doll and a delight in her post-media scrums. I don't know if you saw it. She was hilarious. She read a sultry passage from her upcoming biography or autobiography. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see it. No.
Here's a clip.
Now, normally this is a time where I will read my prepared statement, but tonight I will not, because we all know what happened the last time. No, I've decided to take this time to read a passage from my new book. I'm looking for a publisher. It is entitled A Storm is Coming, and it is a memoir of my life and career, and I would like to read a passage from my formative years, so do enjoy. As I finished sweeping the ring on that hot August night, I cherished taking my first step into this wacky little business. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared at the open barn doors. A physique at once both imposing and alluring. "Tony Storm, what the hell are you doing here?" said the breathy southern drawl. "Why, I'm training to become a wrestler," I replied, my throat quivering in anticipation. "Why, I am too," came the sly reply. I recognized that voice from the bar the other night. Before I could say another word, our lips and bodies embraced in what I can only describe as erotic chain wrestling. My ample bosom heaving, the nape of my neck sweating with invitation. Excuse me. Writhing, grinding, moaning, groaning. We hit the mat in what I can only describe as a boudoir battle royale. I separated those muscular thighs, glistening in what I would later find out was actually Vicks Vapor Rub. Where did I end? Where did I begin? Or maybe we had merged as one. Suddenly, I was flipped onto my back. The tides had turned and I realized why they called it a hot comeback. Was it minutes or was it hours? My watch had stopped working, but my hands were spinning. And then, a blast of white light in a supernova of exaltation. My whole life flashed before my eyes. Not only my past in the coal mines, but my present and future too, including AEW, all in and all out, full gear, into the forbidden door, every match, every moment, including a sizable raise. And then, it was over. I opened my eyes to see that no one was there. I sat up in a start, did I dream at all? But then, I saw that shadowy figure slink off into the woods. I called out, "I love you, Wendy Richter!" But I knew that I would never see her again. Thank you. Now, darlings, is there any questions? Because I would like to do the bit where I huff and walk away.
And so someone asked a question, and she just walked off. So Toni Storm is absolutely crushing this character work. She might be doing some of the best work in pro wrestling right now. I really do believe that.
She's definitely in character, man. She's rolling with it. I mean, this is a great way to fill out a segment, and there's nothing that's been anything better. So just keep on letting her do what she's doing.
Absolutely. What other things you got going on in AEW that you're excited about or not so excited about?
Let me think here. Yeah, the Jack Perry thing, him, getting a win over Danielson. I'm just like, he'll put anybody over at this point.
I mean, he lost to jerk off Daniel Garcia too.
Yeah. I mean, these wins hardly mean anything at this point.
Danielson's win-loss record has got to be, I'm sure it's well over 500, but it's nothing extraordinary at all.
Daniel Garcia turned that moment into turning into Danny Fandango. And that's what we got from that. So, again, they could have had him hold a world title and have a good stretch, but God forbid.
God forbid you do something right, Tony, you big jerk.
Yeah.
At least he hasn't been a dickhead lately. He hasn't said stupid. He hasn't said something stupid in a while. I mean, he did drop the Weinstein thing like 2 months ago, so I guess it hasn't been that great.
Yeah. What about what do you think about like Christopher Daniels getting fired and then he's rehired?
I mean, what are you going to have Tony Khan book the matches on TV? You can't have that. The guy's terrible. He's cancer on fucking television. So
yeah,
it's a way to kind of circumvent that while Kenny's out. So I don't mind it. Christopher Daniels is good work. You know, he does good work and he cuts a good promo. So I'm not too tired. I mean, is it cliche and something we've seen before? Sure. But, you know, so you kind of, I think it's better than Tony Khan making announcements or Tony Khan going through Tony Schiavone to make announcements. I think it's better than that. I will say that.
Yeah, but it's like part of it too. To me, it's like instead of I get it, they wanted to build cheap heat by firing him, but it's like it also took away from the power that they had in firing him, where he could just rehire them anyways. And if you could top him on that, I'm thinking, okay, well, why can't you do anything else to them? Like where does this wavy line begin and end? I don't know. It's just a weird aspect of like this power struggle between them, and it just strange seeing Tony Khan roll down the ramp while a flamethrower's out there. He's probably scared for his life there at that moment, I would think too.
Didn't sell it very well. He rolled like 15 times and got up and just like
he's like, wee.
Yeah, no, I mean we've seen WWE has done something similar to that. You know, who can forget when they brought Austin back to be the marshal or whatever, or he came back to be the co-GM and then he came back to be a marshal. So we've seen this kind of thing before. So I'm not going to kill it for just that. I think it's better than what they had going on. So is it perfect? No, could have been better. But I mean, at this particular point in time, what are we expecting?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, honestly too, it's like when I watch the Buck segment, it's not like I'm like, this is such shit. And I'm like, what I'm saying is, yeah, this is pretty much what I'd want to do with them as well. But again, the optics of it, short of Okada, it's nothing that's all that impressive.
You do hate the Bucks and Jack Perry, though.
Oh, yeah. There's no denying that.
Arn Anderson is gone out of AEW, Vladi. I know you're going to be missing him very, very much.
Oh, yeah. He's been on TV religiously for the last, 2 years, right?
He had some good moments with the Cody run, with the whole thing with the gun, and then everyone loved it. Like Arn Anderson, you know. But with him announcing that he's leaving also coincides Cody in a recent interview, I believe on the Pat McAfee show or some other podcast, and he said he would want a traditional manager possibly during this World Championship run or WWE Championship run. And Arn Anderson was obviously his manager in AEW. And that brings up the speculation that I think we both think is that Arn Anderson is going to be the manager for Cody Rhodes once again in WWE. And Arn Anderson, a couple years back, while he was still in AEW, actually scored the copyrights to the Four Horsemen. And this has been something that you've been talking and thinking about for many, many years since he really did put the copyright in. Does Cody get Arn Anderson? And are we going to see a new formation of the Four Horsemen in modern day WWE? And Vladi, we thought it would be fun if we put together our own fantasy impossible Four Horsemen lineup in WWE, provided Arn Anderson goes back to WWE with Cody. So would you like to go first, Vladi Dottie?
You know what? Yeah, I'll go first then. So basically, I looked at it, and this is like totally dream booking. I'm sure Tony Khan will actually probably want to watch this because this is the sort of shit he loves. So just dream booking this, and I figured out two teams for this. Right, one is like my dream team, no contracts. I'm not worried about who's at AEW, who's at WWE. This is like when I think Horsemen, current day wrestlers, with a Cody-led Horseman. By the way, this is the route I'd go. Dream scenario would be Cody, Randy Orton, and FTR.
Mine too.
That screams that screams Horseman to me, with Arn Anderson as the J.J. Dillon role, and I think that would be just incredible.
Yeah, and Arn Anderson also has the roots to Ric Flair.
Yep.
And of course, Evolution and all that. So I'm with you. I think that would be the perfect situation. You got your two top tier in-ring performers and talents in terms of singles wrestlers, and you got arguably the best tag team in the world, certainly cut from the same cloth as, say, an Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. I'm with you there 100%. I mean, it's you know, that's actually, I mean, we've been talking about this for years, and FTR was always a possibility of what we wanted to see. And ironically, Arn Anderson almost managed FTR and AEW as well. He negotiated, storyline wise, negotiated their contract, if you remember. Yeah, absolutely. So there was that, you know, ultimate connection. And however, you know, looking at it realistically, I'm not even sure how many more years FTR has on it. So I'm just sort of like considering them, or this at least
this
two
faction.
more, brother.
Yeah, this faction is what I'm considering is like within the next year. Let's put it that way. So I look at the current roster at WWE, and I'm just thinking, who would I go and surround Cody with in regards to like having Arn there as his manager, and then putting up those four fingers basically. And also I look at this as almost a redemption tour for the Horsemen if they ever did this, right? Because you look as his history has gone on, you know, Flair hasn't aged gracefully. And
big
they can
drunk
go,
Karen.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
Let me tell you something. What do you mean accosted him? What do you mean? I got him. Woo! Dickhead. Nicholas Dickhead. What's your name? VLADI? VLADI Dickhead.
Dickhead. So
Mess.
So with that,
Train wreck.
and with Triple H being, you know, such a student of the game itself too, and just his connection to Flair, this is my dream case scenario for the current roster. All right, of course, lead off with Cody. I still stick with Randy because Randy also has the connections to Flair through Evolution. And then you also have them being, you know, second and even third generation wrestlers. So those are the, you know, no-brainers. And this is the other route I'm going to go. After those two are established, I didn't really think like, oh, I need a tag team here. And, you know, in pre-production, you mentioned the Creed brothers. They came to mind, but I'm still like, I'm associating them with Gable. All right. So I can't really do that. You take them out of the picture. This is who I figured. Of all people, Andrade. He's married to Charlotte. He is someone that needs something like to be involved in something. And you can already tell that he's getting a little bit like annoyed with his booking already.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you offered him something like this, where he's able to be in a faction as this, show off his in-ring ability, which is excellent, and not necessarily have to cut and be the cornerstone of promos, and you have him as sort of, you know, a badass within the Horsemen as well. That's some way to sort of elevate him. And then the last guy, as far as the current roster, who I would go and ask to be a part of this, to me, I'd go Braun Breaker.
I love that about you. Braun Breaker was on my list too for this one, by the way. I was thinking about it now. I actually took Orton out, though, but I'm with you. Okay. Braun Breaker would be perfect.
Yeah, it's just the WCW connection. There's wrestling history amongst those names that would be there, and that's the way I would go. You know, so if Triple H is listening, and as he often listens to your advice, just maybe we can see this, and I would think it'd be great, because you also see there's so many goddamn factions going on here between the, you know, Judgment Day, LWL, the one that Santos is involved in, et cetera, and then also you're gonna have the Wyatt Six show up all of a sudden.
Oh,
yeah, right. So
I'm not excited about that, but that's all right. QR code, spooky.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing, just quickly on that.
Yeah,
who I'm intrigued to see is like how they use Joe Gacy, because he's a bit about he's pretty good at speaking, right?
Yeah, from what I hear.
So that's where I'm like, okay, that's where I'm like going in with it open-minded. It sort of depends on how he's used, but we'll figure that out when we see it.
Who is? Well, we'll get into that in a hot second because I have some questions about the Wyatt the Wyatt 6 as well. But so I'm with you. I went Cody. The thing with Braun Breaker though, he's such a badass and such a heel now, and I don't. This is gonna have to be a babyface faction because Cody's not turning heel. So you have to have Braun Breaker as a babyface. That could happen though. It wouldn't take long. You could do that. So I would put Braun Breaker. I let Randy out because I didn't want to repeat.
Yeah, I got you.
And then I did go with the tag team, and I there were a couple different ways you can go about it. I actually even flirted with maybe having the Street Profits being the Four Horsemen, which sounds
That'd
weird.
Be cool.
But I think they would. But I think they could make it work, and so I'm going to go with them. It was them or the Creed brothers, and I didn't make that decision until just now. So I'm going to go with the Street Profits, Braun Breaker, and Cody. It's a little bit of a weird vibe there, I guess, but I like the tag team idea, having a top tag team there. I like having a badass as your number 2, like a Sid Vicious or Lex Luger or even a Barry Windham to a lesser extent. Barry Windham's my second, my favorite guy outside of Flair and Anderson, though. I always love Barry Windham. But yeah, I'm going to go the Street Profits. I'm going to go Cody, and I'm going to go Braun Breaker. That would be my particular, just because I think the Street Profits look classy. They party like Rick. They want the smoke. They can dress classy if they need to be. That's where I'm going with that. And I know the Four Horsemen thing is something, again, you've been really itching for that really since Arn Anderson had gotten the copyright. He clearly got the copyright for a reason. So
definitely. And the fact, we were discussing this back in AEW when Cody was still there. And what I was annoyed with is like, all right, they're going to definitely shoehorn Arn's son in there. And it's like, ugh, he just wasn't ready, in my opinion, at that point. And
still probably not, to be honest with you.
No, and that's the thing. So, but with him being out of the picture and then you're just using that roster, yours is a great 4. I think I have a pretty interesting 4 as well. So.
And Arn Anderson's not that old. He's only 65. I thought he was older because Flair, I think, is 73 or 74 and wasted all the time. How do you do it? This is the Nature Boy, and I want to get myself a burger. You're going to give me a burger. Woo! No damn cheese. Woo! Dickhead. What an embarrassment.
Yeah, it's just so bad, man.
It's just a disaster. I mean, where's yourself? I think it's just where we are in the world right now. I mean, you could be a complete asshole and a complete douchebag and hold out and completely be unaccounted for your actions. There are some unscrupulous people who are famous that are just continuing to be unscrupulous with no mea culpa. And this is certainly one by Flair. And then the next day, he rants about it on social media like a bigger Karen. Before the video dropped, he was acting like it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
What do you mean I costed him? Did I touch him? That's not what it costed me, you moron. You drunk fucking idiot. Never got hangovers. God bless him. That's why he can continue to drink like a fish. He does not get hangovers.
Yeah.
I drink like that. I'm in bed for 2 days.
Yeah, that's a bad thing about getting older. You have a few drinks, you're definitely feeling it more.
I mean, he is driving this Ric Flair persona until the wheels fall off. Wheels already fell off. He had like 16 heart attacks in his last match. Jesus
one
Christ.
for each belt, one for each title reign.
And you feel bad because the guy's a legend. He's on many people's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But this is an embarrassment. You are a joke now, Flair. You are bringing shame to your entire family. Your son's rolling over in his grave.
Oh, God.
Mongo's rolling over in his grave, and he's not even dead yet.
Oh, God.
How about Lex Luger? We could keep going with the Four Horsemen.
Speaking of horsemen, let's talk about the ones that are the most ill.
The ones that are going to be dead within 3 years. Oh, Jesus Christ. Actually, Mongo's been sick like that, lying in that bed for 3 years now.
Dude, I saw him recently. Did not look good.
Did he look good 2 years ago? Flair's in there with all of his rings, with his big gold Jesus chain, because he loves Jesus so much, because he acts like such a good Christian. And like, hey, and just getting a big, like smiling like he's having the time of his life. And there's Mongo.
God.
Looking like, I forget what movie it was. There was a movie where there was an old guy that had the same look on his face the entire time. I forget what it was, so I'm just going to delete that part out. But yeah, it's just, whatever. I'm having some fun. It's been a long time. I've been on vacation, having a little fun. Hit a little low blows here and there. Never hurt anybody. At least
you separate yourself from it, VLADI. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh man. Oh God.
So you want to talk a little? You want to talk a little Paul Heyman and Bloodline?
Well, yes, I would. First and foremost, I'm still not buying Solo and this new Bloodline. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not all in on these guys yet. And I love Tama Tonga and Tonga Leo. Love them both. Don't like the way they're booked. Tama Tonga is not that guy. The guy is sly. He's vicious and cruel, but he is also very conniving and very, very calculated. That's who he was in New Japan. Now that he's this maniac, MFT. So with Tonga, and apparently now they're trying to make Tonga Leo as where he's the smart one and he's the more calculating one. They've been pushing that thing, but Paul Heyman and Kevin Owens, you're talking about two of the top, I would say top, well, obviously Heyman, but Kevin Owens is the top 10 promo in WWE too.
Easy.
And if you didn't know that now, you certainly knew it after this past Friday. They had an incredible segment, and you see Heyman's frustration getting to the point where he's no, I get it. You don't want to believe me. You don't want to believe me. No one believes Paul Heyman, the wise man. And he throws his microphone, hits Kevin Owens as Kevin Owens broke down why he would never trust Paul Heyman. And it was really great storytelling. It's just, again, you're dealing with Solo and two, even though I know them because they're from New Japan, but two relatively unknowns in Solo who still can't cut a promo. So it's hard for me to really look at this. I think they're kind of waiting it out until Roman Reigns comes back. But that segment with Paul Heyman and Kevin Owens, it was just two of the very best doing what they do. Your feelings?
Well, there was a couple things that came about this episode of SmackDown. One of which was the initial promo behind like in the tunnel area where Heyman was talking to Solo, and Solo let it out of the bag that we are keeping Cody in check and he doesn't even know it. And then Heyman saying, "Who's we?" So that's tipping the hat to Rock.
100%, which, by the way, we said it was The Rock since day one. This isn't going to be anything groundbreaking. But yes, now they're starting to creep into it.
So now here's the first like indication that there's somebody else that's pulling the strings and it's not Roman. And as you watch that segment, man, you just listen to the crowd chanting, "We want Roman, we want Roman."
Yeah.
Then when Heyman comes out, you see his popularity's growing. And I got to say, I loved when he broke down and it was like looking for redemption. That was like such good acting. Like, God forbid, like Paul Heyman redeems himself or something, whatever he said at that moment.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
You know, and what does a wise man have to offer but his wisdom? And I'm like, wow, man, it was just well done. One of his best. He's looking like shit without Roman. Like, he is playing this role beautifully. And he, like, for him to go and like warn Kevin Owens for his life because he's just dealing with ruthless thugs, and he doesn't want him to get hurt. Like, that was just great stuff. Really was. And I think what you're going to see here is Roman and Heyman basically have a babyface turn together.
Oh, yeah.
With the Usos. And then, then you're going to have the Civil War break out with The Rock. And especially with Heyman using the term thugs, that's almost tipping his hat to Jacob Fett, too.
Yeah.
Because that badass will come out there. And if you're not ready for it, that will knock Roman off his perch. That'll stun Roman.
Yeah. And he was signed a while ago. I've actually forgot about him.
Yeah.
Because we were expecting him to show up when Tonga Leo showed up.
Yep. And when that occurs, that's going to knock some people on their asses, like seeing what he does. and that's going to be. And when Heyman indicated, I started chuckling. He's like, Roman and I conducted background checks. I'm like, holy shit, this is pretty funny. But to me, that was like a tip of the hat to him, and you're just going to see that family and that bloodline just try to rip itself apart.
And I think eventually they'll turn on Solo too. I think Solo's going to go with the old bloodline eventually. I think that.
Yeah, that he'll be the sacrificial lamb for the heel part of it, And I agree with you with Solo. Solo's an enforcer. He shouldn't be the guy. He doesn't have the look or the prestige like the fans already seen through. Yeah, that's the thing. Like when he's sitting there quiet and he has his thumb out and he's ready to go and spike somebody, that's when he's great. So
yeah, this whole underboss thing he's doing now, I'm just not. It's hard for me to get excited about this kind of bloodline. And Kevin Owens kind of referenced that. He's like, I've been fighting the bloodline. I've been fighting these guys brutally. I mean, this version of the bloodline hasn't done anything worse than the old bloodline did. In fact, it hasn't even come close. I mean, they had Kevin Owens handcuffed to the ropes like they were going to hit him with the chair. I mean, this bloodline has been ruthless and brutal. They haven't touched the prior era yet. And so it's hard for me to take it super seriously. Heyman's doing the best he can. That's the only flaw I see in the storyline, is that I don't buy into this version of the bloodline yet.
Yeah. Well, to me, they're just sort of killing time until Roman's coming back. And evidently, Wrestling Observer mentioned yesterday that Roman's expected back in July.
Yeah, I figured SummerSlam would be where he comes back. Yeah. That's what I was kind of anticipating. But yeah, I think again, you and I both saw Roman turning babyface when he first left. You saw him with him crying on the stage, showing that vulnerability. That was intentional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was definitely an intentional situation. WWE actually posted it on their social media, so that was intentional. And again, with The Rock and Roman, The Rock's like, okay, they're going to boo me. I'm going to turn and I'm going to be the biggest heel in the company. And so now you're going to have a babyface Roman against a heel Rock at next year's WrestleMania, probably for the WWE title. I think Rock might beat Cody, but we'll see. Obviously we're a long way from that, but I really like it. I'm glad
I thought the whole thing with The Rock and Cody was they get each other at WrestleMania no matter what the title circumstances are.
I don't think it's going to be WrestleMania. I think it's going to be earlier than that. I think Roman and Rock is your WrestleMania match. That's my opinion. I think Roman and Rock is your WrestleMania match.
Yeah, that's what Rock won the last time. It's sort of interesting. I don't know if you saw some of the quotes that were involved with Cody getting the match instead of The Rock, where they sort of like Gerwitz was mentioning that Cody's facial expressions when he was supposed to rescind, and he's just being Cody and being himself, and he didn't do anything wrong. He was quick to say, but then it basically was tipping his hat to. It was like, hey, yeah, like you could tell that Cody wasn't playing along in that moment of live television.
I disagree with that. I think Cody looked disappointed, like he should look disappointed. But he did it. And I thought Cody handled it brilliantly. Cody addressed that. He said, Cody addressed that thing in an interview. And he said, look, I'm not going to be fake out there. I wasn't happy that I wasn't getting my title shot. I knew I was getting a title shot, but I wanted it at WrestleMania. But I know it's a business, and that's how I felt about it. But I certainly wasn't going to act real happy and what have you. So no, Cody didn't give a rounding, oh, go get him, big guy, and smiling and waving at the crowd. No, he played it real, and look, Cody deserved it, and everyone was invested in that story. He finished it. And
it's great. It's great that Cody and Triple H got their way, though.
Yeah, that's it. Look, that WrestleMania, that WrestleMania again, that was one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. Period.
Yep.
That the way that last match was booked, and the burning of the Roman Empire, the finishing of the story, the Undertaker, Solo, Cena with Solo, the Usos. I mean, it pretty much was exactly how we both thought it was going to go, except minus the Undertaker instead of put Steve Austin instead of the Undertaker. But it's one thing to say it, and then for them to do it and that beautifully, it's a whole other deal. Because sometimes you can know what's happening, but if it's not done right, then it sucks. You go into a Marvel movie, 9 times out of 10, the heroes are going to win. Except the one time Iron Man, I guess, died. But the hero, typically the hero wins. But how do you get there, and how do you achieve it, and do you get lost? And that moment is going to live in WrestleMania history and wrestling history forever. So kudos to them for that. It's almost as good as Adam Cole and MJF. Now that was epic. You see, Adam Cole was the devil the whole time, VLADI.
Wow. They pulled the old switcheroo on his bro Chacho.
Little switcheroo there, little switcheroos there, pal. Unbelievable. LA Knight going after Logan Paul finally. Took him long enough.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles, we're going to get another AJ Styles Cody match, it looks like. AJ Styles doing the old Mark Henry. Which we all saw coming a mile. Did anyone really think AJ was retiring?
No, but I do like that he was like this underhanded, and Cody like totally got suckered for it.
Stupid baby face, dumb stupid baby face.
And when he during that retirement speech, there was one part where like Cody really was like welling up, wasn't he? Like he was really like trying to fight off.
Oh my god!
And I forget what it was said. Yeah, but I'm like, nobody even said Dusty. Like, what is he crying about?
Are you fucking crying? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. You're fucking crying? Oh, I love The Rock. I like Rock making fun of Cody. I'm on Team Rock when Rock comes back, by the way. I'm already off Cody's bandwagon. F him.
Wow.
By the way, Gallows and Anderson I guess they're going to be relevant again. Good job, guys.
Great.
Real nice. They weren't really an overt, really in-your-face part of it. They were keeping the referees from AJ just punching. It was a good beatdown, though. They did a good job with it. And you're going to get another great match. I mean, I thought that was, again, how AJ and that Cody and AJ match was received. I mean, it's considered one of the best matches in recent WWE memory, at least title matches. Which I didn't watch the whole match all the way through, and I knew what happened, so it kind of takes. I always feel bad because anytime I know a finish to a match, it does take a lot away from the match. It just does for me.
Yeah,
because I don't get excited about the close falls. The only thing about the AJ Cody match is that you knew there was no way AJ was going to win. By the way, AJ is not beating Cody anytime soon. This is it's going to be a good feud where Cody can put a couple of really good matches under his belt. But overall, though, I mean, we know Cody's not winning it, or we know AJ is not winning any titles anytime soon. They're not going to be the club, are they? It's going to be stupid.
You know what? Like, I'm wondering, does Balor end up linking up with them?
It'll be a minute before that happens because he's the old Judgment Day thing.
I'm waiting for that to implode.
It's already starting. But where do they go? Finn Balor and JD are kind of their own little thing here.
Yeah,
and Finn seems to be the glue who's trying to keep everything together. Like he's the one getting Rhea's back. He's chilling out Damian Priest. Finn really seems to be the guy who's trying to keep the Judgment Day all together. And he's got his little buddy. It's like Sonic and Tails with JD McDonough. And then now you got Carlito in there. He's like a new R-Truth, but not funny.
Yeah. He's confused.
But obviously, I think we could see Dominic's going to go with Liv eventually. Liv is a very cute young lady, a very attractive young woman, and loves smoking weed. So I'm all on board with the Liv Morgan revenge tour.
She plays a good heel. Isn't it amazing how much Dominic looks like Eddie?
Can I say something? I'm over the booing. Can we just let the kid cut a promo?
Yeah, let him talk.
It's just so annoying. Like I first of all, he's not that hateable. He doesn't do anything that a big time heel does. He's not that big of a scumbag anymore. Right. He barely says anything. And he's still getting booed out of the building because the WWE universe becomes a caricature of itself. And then, we got to be part of the show, boo. And then if they're not part of the show, Triple H will hit the boo buttons and pump the shit in there. And they turn his mic down. It's just unnecessary. If he's gonna be a top heel, he's gonna have to earn it. Let him earn it. Stop with the booing. It's obnoxious. I hate it. I know I'm the minority. Because they do the same thing with Don Callis, but at least Don Callis can wind up cut his promo. Because Don Callis gets the same exact reaction. Except it's it's never fictitious. But Callis cuts his promo anyway. They turned Dominic's shit down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's stifling. It's stifling Dominic to a certain extent. I don't know his value because I can't see. He's not a great in-ring performer. Doesn't cut a great promo, but he gets great heat. Oh, he gets great heat. He's going to draw great money. I want something more in a superstar. I'm sorry. Just because he gets booed. I don't boo him. I don't like him. I'm indifferent to him. That's my opinion of Dominic Mysterio. I'm sorry. I know I'm in the minority there because everyone hates his guts, but it was.
What do you think? You think it looks like Eddie or what?
Oh yeah, he definitely looks like Eddie. Oh yeah, and I think that's intentional, obviously too. I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah, Eddie probably did.
That's the thing, man.
Probably Eddie.
We need to see a real DNA test here. I'm really convinced. And then when Mommy comes back, are they going to have another Dominic custody match or what?
I've seen that joke a bunch. Yeah, I've seen a Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley and another Dominic custody of Dominic match again. He's always in those, isn't he?
He has a habit of falling into those sort of matches somehow.
It's not because he can cut a promo. I'll tell you that much. Oh, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Does Drew win at Clash the Castle?
Yes,
I would think so too. I think Gunther and McIntyre are much bigger match than Priest. But do you take the title off Priest already? I don't know if you do.
Yes,
100%. He's done okay. He's done okay. I haven't loved Priest. I don't think he should be the world champion right now, given the roster. But he's done okay. He's starting to become more comfortable with his promos. He's got a great look. But I'm not so sure he should be your world champion. Drew McIntyre right now is arguably the hottest wrestler in your company, at least in terms of heels. And then, and I think if you had your druthers, you're probably seeing Drew McIntyre and Punk at WrestleMania next year.
If not sooner, maybe SummerSlam.
Maybe, but then he doesn't win the world title then.
All right.
So you can't have Drew win and Clash in the Castle unless Punk shows up and costs them the match, and then it sets up their match for SummerSlam.
That man, I don't know if he'd leave Scotland alive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And not only that, I think there's another Piper Niven's fighting for the world title.
Yeah. See, I think she'll lose.
She's definitely losing.
And then Drew will win.
Wrestle Talk doesn't agree with you. Wrestle Talk thinks that they're all losing. Is there somebody else that's Scottish that's wrestling for a title too? One of those new women from NXT that I don't know, they're like Isla Dawn or some shit.
Not sure.
Who are the two? Who are the two that it's like Isla Dawn and Isla something else? I don't know.
Were they like the witches type chicks?
Yeah. They
I don't even know their names, but yeah.
They interfered in the Baszler Starks versus Jade and Bianca last night. So it looks like they're setting up for a triple threat match at Clash of the Castle for the women's tag titles.
Oh.
I like Zoe and Baszler a lot, and it looks like they're trying to form a little bit of a faction. It looks like Sonya Deville, Natty, and possibly Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. That's a pretty good faction. It's like the Four Horsemen of MMA, but they can actually wrestle.
Ah, see what you did there.
Well,
what's your opinion of Ronda Rousey?
I'm feeling spicy. Now, time for an awkward Samoan drop and a armbar. And I'll do it, and a judo toss I'll do 15 times. And cut an awkward promo. I'm Ronda Rousey. I hate everybody.
Man, she went scorched earth on the way out the door.
Yeah, who cares? She was a disaster. She was an unmitigated disaster of a professional wrestler. Becky Lynch said herself, she couldn't wrestle. She couldn't wrestle. She couldn't cut a promo. She was garbage. Garbage. But I've already talked about her enough on this show. Not recently, though.
Absolutely.
So thanks for bringing that back. I never mind throwing some shade at Ronda Rousey in terms of a professional wrestler. Legendary MMA career until she got knocked out and then forgot how to fight. But legendary before that. And she was. I mean, she was the biggest star in UFC for years, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So she earned her place and she earned her right. But her as a professional wrestler, she was a disaster. But Vince wanted her, thought she could make a lot of money off of her. He was wrong. And they gave her this ridiculous push, made her the baddest woman in the planet. She had bad match after bad match, bad promo after bad promo, yet she was still walking around with a title. It was a joke. And you know me, I get pissed off when someone comes in and they're handed the keys to the kingdom not paying their dues. I've always had a problem with that, especially if they're an outsider. You know, you could shut me up like Logan Paul did, and you go out there and you have your great matches and you go out there and cut a decent promo and get real good heat. She didn't do any of that. I'll give you a chance. But if you suck, I'm not, no.
Yeah, she's no Logan Paul.
She is no Logan Paul. Logan Paul and Kurt Angle, the only two people I can remember wrestling coming to them this quickly.
Yeah.
But Kurt Angle was ridiculous too. But Kurt Angle had an amateur wrestling background. But then again, Logan Paul is a fighter. He's trained as a MMA fighter and as a boxer. So, you know.
Speaking of amateur wrestlers, what's your take on this whole Chad Gable situation with Sami Zayn?
Dude, this is low-key the best storyline in wrestling right now. By the way. Otis is over big time already because they want him to turn babyface.
Yeah.
But the crowd was palpable last night.
Yeah.
And Chad Gable, this heel turn, this persona is really turning it up a notch. The way he's so abusive and mean and cold. Yeah. But then, of course, last night he was after he beat up Sammy and held the title above Sammy while he was beaten down. He wound up saying how great everybody was. Gave Otis a big kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
I love it. I think this is some great stuff. Sammy's the perfect guy to do this with. He's a perfect baby face to do this kind of thing with. He talks about his history. Like, I know how what you're going through. I was there, referring to when he was in the Bloodline. Yeah. And he's like, you got to get rid of it and go on your own. I think, though, that Maxine Dupree is going to turn heel and go with Chad.
Ooh.
I mean, you don't need a hot girl baby face that doesn't know how to wrestle, right?
Yeah.
And she'd cut a promo.
Yeah.
And I thought it wasn't her fault that she had a horrible gimmick. I thought she cut a good promo and did her job fine when she was the maximum model, valet or manager or whatever the case may be. So I think that could work, even though she's taller than Gable, a lot taller than Gable. She's taller than everybody. How is the woman, this beautiful, hot woman, is the tallest person in your faction? And she's hot, too. It's not like she's Chyna or Nicole Bass.
All right.
Gorgeous. She's a very attractive young lady. Not that I look at women. Not that I look at women like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad call, like with, say, Gable and the Creed brothers and her. But yeah, like what Gable's doing, I'm even seeing they're like having him dress all in black. The way they're filming him is sort of upward, so he doesn't look like, a short as he is. If you
Shorty G.
And we have gone from Shorty G to this, and he is really a talented guy, man. So
we've been big fans of him for years, though. When he was so good as a heel with the Alpha Academy that they started cheering for him with the whole shush thing and thank you. He really turned chicken shit into chicken salad, opposed to Spunk, who turns chicken salad into chicken shit. That's the magic of CM Punk.
Okay.
He said that one time. He said, I turned chicken salad into chicken shit. It's magic of CM Punk.
He said that?
Yeah, it was during his Scorched Earth interview with Ariel Helwani. Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that.
I forgot about it too. I didn't realize it when I watched the whole interview initially, but I watched Botchamania like the week afterward, and they showed like 4 botches that Punk had on commentary during WrestleMania week. Like good. Drew McIntyre is still awesome on social media too, so he might be my favorite wrestler right now. But back to Gable. Yeah, I'm going all over the place here. But Gable, yeah, you look at Gable. He is literally the epitome of busting your ass and staying with the plan and staying with horrible booking, horrible ideas, and then turning into right now where he is a top mid-card guy, and he's probably going to be the Intercontinental Champion sooner than later, and he deserves it because he's been lights out. And I think you'll really, like to your point, I think when you have the Creed brothers and you got Maxine Dupree in that Alpha Academy, I think you're cooking with grease right there for sure.
Yeah, it would be a badass tag team with a badass, leader. And he's great on the mic. He's creative. He's great in the ring.
Yeah.
This could be a huge SummerSlam victory for him.
Well, I think he'll probably win a Clash the Castle, wouldn't he?
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that being in between.
And isn't Money in the Bank after that, or is Money in the Bank later on in the year? I remember Money in the Bank was right before SummerSlam the last several years, so I'm not sure where it is now. We look at hey TJ Duddy, producer, can you look into that, pal?
Sure thing, pal.
Our great producer TJ Duddy, he's amazing, fat and ugly though. We'll say that for him. Money in the Bank. All right, VLADI Dottie, July 6th. What? It's only in a month? Yeah, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. July 6th, 2024. So we're getting Clash in the Castle, next weekend?
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, they are pumping out the PLEs now, aren't they? Holy cow.
If you know what? If he doesn't wrestle at Clash in the Castle, he's definitely going to go and beat Sammy in Canada.
No, it's booked. They're wrestling at Clash in the Castle.
They're definitely okay, I got you, Eric.
Yeah, they booked it last night during the promo.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
And then you have Money in the Bank. I wonder who really put it on this year. Interesting.
That was a great line about Otis and the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh yeah, everything was great. The way she read the promo from Chad. Yeah. I loved it. Chad Gable's doing great stuff right now, and obviously he's working with a great guy in Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
So WWE, the only criticism I have, and it's not just WWE, but it's predominant in WWE, is the garbage overacting from people who aren't great at it, and they have to like Ricochet and Dragunov yesterday. I mean, they clearly were. It was clearly rehearsed lines that were terrible.
Yeah. And
pretty much 80% of the people that come up from NXT can't cut a promo either, including Carmelo Hayes, who we saw LA Knight call him out on live TV how bad it was last week. It's a joke. I mean, Braun Breaker, I love. Braun Breaker has come up and has been fantastic, booked right, looked dominant, looked scary. Best spear I've ever seen. Kiss my ass, Goldberg. Yeah. Jerk off, anyway.
And the Frankensteiner that he hits, too.
Oh, my God. Beauty. And he cut a promo better than either his uncle or his father. His father was like a derelict, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no, what's going on? You know it's something when you're the dumb one and Scott Steiner's your brother.
I've seen him do math. It's not pretty.
It's one of the best promos ever. Great promo.
Braun Breaker, man. He is...
blue chipper right there, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
I like tits. Thanks, JR. I'll tell you right now, titties and barbecue sauce. There. By the way, was that you that told me this? JR used to bang Missy Hyatt?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Good for JR.
Yeah, years after his wife passed away, he hooked up with Missy Hyatt.
So it was past Missy Hyatt's prime. It wasn't Eddie.
Yeah.
It wasn't hot stuff Eddie Gilbert era.
No.
Meissy Hyatt. Okay.
This was probably 4 years ago, Missy Hyatt.
She's okay still. Looks better than Sunny. Looks better than China.
Oh God.
Even when she was alive.
Okay, if you're gonna reference it that way. But yeah, pretty funny story. And she also came out. Evidently, she approached Vince McMahon's accusers, lawyers, about an incident that she had with McMahon. Evidently, too.
Who was Missy Hyatt in the WWE?
You know what? She was referring to it, and I didn't recall any of it. What was mentioned in this this article?
Maybe early 90s for like a hot second, a cup of coffee.
Yeah, and she said it ended because she didn't go to hook up with him.
Oh yeah, well maybe you didn't understand. I'm Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and I like blondes with big, bodacious, voluptuous breasts. Ah, and big black wieners all over them. So I hear is the kind of thing he said in court cases.
Yeah, so yeah, she evidently has reached out to Janelle's lawyers and is basically adding to what the work environment was there under Vince.
Well, she suspended her case, but now WWE as a whole, including Vince McMahon, is now under federal investigation.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that. That was news.
Yeah, no, I heard. What I read, like the article I read, was like it was almost like her lawyers were like sidestepping it and allowing them to do, because it's like they might have enough nails to like really basically nail them to the wall on this thing.
Well, the thing is that the Department of Justice, the federal Department of Justice, they have a lot more resources and to do a lot more digging and a lot more. A lot more, I don't want to use research, but a lot more investigation into everything that happened, opposed to Janelle Grant's lawyers. And she's not loaded. I mean, she's not a billionaire like Vince. Vince can stay in the courts for years and years and years. The guy's 78. Right. I mean, he could keep this going until he dies.
Yeah. That's my plan, pal.
That's my plan. I'm not going to answer for anything. I forget who said it. I think it was Paul Heyman. He said, Vince McMahon doesn't like the normal reality and normal universe, so he made his own. It's so true.
That's true.
Stand back.
Man.
That's a fact. I'm going to drop and going to drop.
I watched that somewhat recently. It's pretty embarrassing.
Oh, it was terrible. The best was like all the baby faces playing music in the back.
Yeah.
The choreography was the best part about it. I think Macho Man was there. Yep. JYD was there. Hogan was playing bass dead center.
That was his instrument.
Beefcake. Yeah. Remember Roddy Piper? He made a reference to. It's like, what would you be doing playing bass in Tootsie's Bar and Grill? Which is now Hogan's Hideaway in Tampa, Florida, where Ric Flair gets wasted once a week. Apparently, if you are in Tampa, you go to Tampa Bay. Yeah. I'm surprised you never ran into Ric Flair.
You know what? He wasn't hanging down there as much as when I was visiting, but I did see the Hogan shops. Like I drove past one of them. I was like, I wasn't interested in nothing.
I'm going to go there Monday nights for karaoke, and then I'm going to get a ride home with his son.
God. So yeah, but now knowing that they actually do that fairly regularly, that's something I might be interested in just witnessing. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, Rick, dude! Imagine being with Ric Flair and just listening, because he's the kind of guy that will. I don't think he wants marks talking to him though.
No, unless you're stroking his ego and buying him drinks,
which I would do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, I'd be like, I always thought you were overrated. You're an overrated bum. Bret Hart's better.
Your name is Rick Dickhead.
Rick Dickhead. Oh, Ric Flair. What else we got going on, Vladi? We had caught up on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happened. We are going to be pumping out a lot of videos. We are back, ready to take over the internet once again. Over 1,600 subscribers on YouTube. We want to thank each and every one of you. How about that, Vladi? It was only a couple months ago we were struggling just to get to 700, and here we are at 1,600. Blew up like the World Trade. Not the 9/11, the other one. The other one. The 9/11 you can't joke about. That's a Biggie quote, by the way. Blow up like the World Trade. Born filler, the opposite of a winner. Wondering why we always had sardines for dinner. Familiar with that song?
Not at all.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this. You don't know that song?
No.
Christ, Vladi. You grew up in the 90s, too. You should definitely be more versed in Biggie Smalls, pal. And you're from the East Coast. Come on, tisk, tisk.
I was more a Tupac guy.
What's your favorite Tupac song?
The one about his mom.
There's a few of them.
Choose one. There you go.
The big one. Dear Mama.
Yeah.
Dear
That's
Mama.
it. There you go.
Dear Mama's the one. Yeah. I love it. Well, either way, we are back talking pro wrestling. Hopefully AEW doesn't botch this. They're set up to have a pretty good rest of the year. Looks like they're getting a contract, but I still want it to be good, man. And Tony is really showing that he just still doesn't know what he's doing. Get Scott D'Amore in there, please, for Christ's sake.
It's interesting that Ospreay was vocal about that.
Oh, he also said that it's bullshit how WWE's booking Ricochet. What is that? Who cares? First of all, who cares?
You know he's going to be there.
Well, Ricochet's
he's done soon.
You don't think they're going to re-sign him though? He's been pretty prevalent, and his girlfriend is like everyone's favorite announcer ever, even though she botches botches half of her friggin' announcements.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like, does he want to stay there because she's there and he's making decent money and blah blah blah, or does he want to go run it back with Ospreay on the AEW?
I don't like Ricochet that much.
Right.
I know it's sacrilege because he's an incredible in-ring performer, but I don't think he cuts a decent promo. But again, I don't know if he's been in the best. I think Ospreay has a point. I don't think we've seen the best Ricochet in WWE that we've seen. I've seen Ricochet matches from Dragon Gate, New Japan, and I don't know. To me, even though they were just clips, to me, those matches look a lot better than what I'm seeing in WWE.
Yeah.
But that's because WWE doesn't let you drop yourself on your own head, and you don't let there other people dropping people. WWE doesn't want you dropping anybody on their heads. So, pussies. How's Adam Cole doing, by the way?
Yeah, it's pretty funny seeing Will go and take this direction and just put his shit out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Will Ospreay's better than Ricochet, a lot better than Ricochet in many respects. Is he a better high flyer? No, but they're comparable, and he might be a little bit better. But Will Ospreay's a more complete wrestler, cuts a better promo.
Yeah,
and his matches are overall been really better. But again, he doesn't have the same boundaries that are put on you in WWE. It's a lot better than it was, but WWE still kind of sticks to a very similar formula. Sometimes they go outside the formula on their pay-per-views, as you saw with Cody doing the Vertebreaker, which why was that move banned? It wasn't that crazy. It's a weird move to ban.
The Vertebreaker was broken. It was banned.
That's what they said. They said Cody did a move that has been banned in WWE for years, which was the Vertebreaker.
Really?
Vertebreaker, yeah. I just didn't think that was it makes sense because those like New Japan type moves, WWE doesn't do. That's what people drop it on their head. Now that one though, you can do a lot of these moves without dropping people on their head. You can drop them on the top on the upper back, just like Danielson did on the Tiger Driver 93, which is supposed to be devastating, and it was the weakest Tiger Driver 93 I've ever seen. It was like, here you go, bruv. Let me put you down real nice, like. Here we go. Oh, Danielson's hurt.
I can't do it anymore.
I can't do it, mate. Can't do it, bruv. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. That was a weird booking. I couldn't believe Will Ospreay won the same exact match she won for a title shot 4 weeks prior. He did the same exact thing. It's weird. It's weird. Obviously, I'm still going to watch the match.
Yeah.
We get with put the little bow on it and rekindle what we talked about earlier. I'm still gonna get this pay-per-view Forbidden Door because Forbidden Doors are always fun because I love New Japan guys and I love AEW. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm interested to see they're clearly going to go in a different direction with the title matches. I mean, AEW versus an AEW guy for the world title. Are you going to have a New Japan guy? I mean, I guess Moxley will defend his title there.
There's your New Japan guys, Moxley.
Which I'm sure, and Moxley probably will wrestle somebody in New Japan, which will be decent. And he could actually lose that match since he's not really a New Japan guy.
Well, he should.
Hopefully it's Naito. I like Naito. My boy. I think he's the IC title champion, though.
Yeah, offhand, I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure either. I haven't watched it since everybody that was good left. I joke. Oh, did you hear? I forget his name. He's one of the up and coming guys in New Japan. He's a British wrestler, and I forget his name. And I'll hopefully I'll have it before we go on to air. And so he said something to the effect like, "Well, New Japan's the best pro wrestling in the world. It's that simple. If you want drama and you want a bunch of acting, go to WWE. If you're a big fat loser, Mark." Watch AEW, but if you want real wrestling, watch New Japan.
Wow.
And by the way, Vladdy, I hate to say it. You look around the AEW arenas, it is mostly fat dudes in their mid-40s. And how pathetic is that?
Yeah. I mean, what a bunch of losers.
Big fat losers. Big fatty McFatterson is watching wrestling and talking about it. Niche dorks.
And then hoping that other people would listen to them talk about it. Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Well, Vladdy Dotty, what else is on? Anything else we got going on this week? Or are we going to wrap this baby up?
I think we should wrap this baby up.
Tony, why do you want to give this Becky Lynch $20 million a year? Is she good?
She has red hair, Dad.
We should touch on Becky Lynch's contract being up. I highly doubt she's leaving WWE, but she was the one out of the. Remember, you and I talked about it extensively, and then we'll get out of here. We talked about it extensively. It was Seth, Drew, and Becky were the three big free agents. Mm-hmm. We said that Seth and Drew were almost slam dunks. Becky was the one because of the baby, because of the little girl, because of what Sasha just got paid or Mercedes Moné just got paid. She was the one wild card if there was one. Again, I think most people think Becky will stay with WWE. I'm very confident in that, but she is technically a free agent and doesn't hurt to listen. And Tony's not afraid to spend money. That's for damn sure.
I mean, she'd be wise to get the offer, and then she knows what she's worth.
Well, there's no way WWE is touching the money.
But she can make it right in her own mind and say, okay, I can go there where they're not filling up arenas, the ratings are going down, and you have
she could help.
Oh, she would help, but the same breath, you still have Tony, as captain of the ship. So
yeah.
And you have to deal with that. So if she says and she has a number that's comfortable for her and working and continuously working with WWE, and maybe it's a little bit more of a hybrid schedule.
Yeah.
Where she's content and she makes more money and she knows, hey, this is what I could have gotten for sure. But
maybe she doesn't do every loop. She only does every other loop, or maybe she only does TV. I mean, I don't think there's any way she's on the road 300 days a year anymore in this next contract.
Oh, no,
where she signs.
Not at all.
So that's not happening anymore. Because the kids got to start going to school. What are you going to teach her on the road? Going to homeschool her on the road, going from town to town? There's no way for a kid to live.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, if you looked at it from that perspective, I mean, AEW is great. She can work Wednesdays. Seth's off every Wednesday. She
ain't leaving. She's not leaving.
Probably not. It just that money in that schedule. A lot of people choose it, but filled arenas, schmilled arenas. You know what I mean? Ratings, schmatings.
uncertainty until that TV contract is signed.
That's true, but like I said before, I would be shocked if they didn't sign a TV deal with Warner, Time Warner Discovery. I really would be. It sounds like that's pretty much a fait accompli. The only thing is, it might not be the number that Tony Khan thought he was going to get.
It's not going to be.
That's because you don't draw more than 700,000 fucking people every week. You jerk off.
That's right. That's right.
You haven't grown your audience. NXT's getting better ratings than you right now.
And it doesn't even matter about the NBA and the NHL. Like, why would Warner Brothers want to overpay for it? Like, they're going to pay what they feel comfortable with at this point. He doesn't really have many other options because whoever has WWE programming isn't going to go and be a part of this negotiation.
Glass half full guy. They usually are a top 2 or 3 cable show on Wednesday nights. If you wanted to spin it in a nice way.
Right.
And it is new content. It's not reruns. And by the way, the rerun, the rights to have those reruns are very expensive, by the way. It's not as cheap as we thought. And we had an argument like, why wouldn't you just put on reruns of what have you? But that's a pretty penny too. When you show those shows, you get the rights to one of these jerk off comedies that had no business being a top comedy, but they are.
Right.
You get the rights to those, the residuals. I mean, geez, Michael Richards is still getting paid off from the Seinfeld. God bless him.
Yeah.
Michael Richards.
But overall, it's still cheaper to do it that way versus like a TV production each and every week.
They should have Michael Richards come and manage the Street Profits. Maybe not. Because he dropped the N-bomb.
Yeah.
When he was getting ribbed. Oh, that was bizarre.
Yeah.
No comment on that. Well, in that beautiful note, let's pull the show out of that dark Kramer hole. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening. We are back. We'll be back next week. And also more moments in the Valley, including a new segment of Moment in the Valley 5. We're do top 5, what have you. And I'm not sure, VLADI. I'm gonna ask you some input on yours. We'll do some top 5 lists on Moments in the Valley. One of them is going to be the 5 biggest mistakes booking that Tony Khan has made. Top 5. I know what one of them is going to be. I've bitched about it several times the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
But there's a few.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, one might be happening. 2 of them might be happening right now, for Christ's sake. But anyway, for VLADI Dottie, folks, this is Silicon City Valley. This is High Spots and Cheap Pops. Hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, comment. Let us know. Get us on Facebook. VLADI Dottie and our boys Chris and Kellen are running a great group over there on High Spots and Cheap Pops Pro Wrestling fan page. Also, check us out everywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify and Apple and RSS.com. Not sure if you're familiar with that, VLADI. But for VLADI, this is Silicon City Valley. Thank you very much for listening to High Spots and Cheap Pops. Here endeth the lesson.